Good evening, Cleveland and Columbus sports fans. This is Jenn B, and you're listening to the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sport. Tonight, we will be talking Guardians baseball. We will talk about some roster changes, how they did over this past week and a half now, since I'm a little bit late to the show. We'll talk about how the Columbus Clippers and the Rubber Ducks did this past week. Got a couple of Cavs and Charge updates. Then we will talk about how that Columbus crew is doing down there in Columbus. We will talk about how they finished out the League Cup. And then we will get back to some MLS play. We will talk about the Browns, how they finished up preseason, some trades that were made, some injury updates, the initial 53-man roster. Who are the captains? Unfortunately, we have some sad news on that front in Browns world, so we will talk about that as well. Then we will finish up the show with the Columbus Blue Jackets. We have some actual team news and then an absolute tragedy that we will finish out the show with. Stay right here for all of that on the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. All right, so before we get started with tonight's show, we are going to hear a word from our wonderful sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, and the Deal Wax Seals. We will also hear a word from our wonderful CEO, Larry B, about IE Sports Radio. So stay right here, and I will be right back with the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, after this.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
You are back listening to the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Please check out our sponsors, Planet Jerky Brisket, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. You can place your orders at planetjerky.net. It is, if I do say so myself, the best jerky out there. So you will not be disappointed. And seal the deal, wax seals. You can place your orders on the IE Sports Radio website at iesportsradio.com/seal the deal wax seals. They are the perfect finishing touch to your letters, invitations, gifts, anything like that. If you have a wedding coming up, baby shower, wedding shower, graduation, anything like that, perfect way to seal that envelope or put the extra special touch on your gift. Also, of course, be sure to follow IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at IE Sports Radio. Check out the website, iesportsradio.com. You can check out my page, iesportsradio.com/the show of the land. There is a little bio on me on there, and you can catch past shows and all of that good stuff. And you can pick up some IE Sports Radio merchandise at the shop also. So be sure to do all of that. And if you miss the live shows, you can catch the playback on all of these wonderful options wherever you get your podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, and so on and so forth. Now, let's get into some of that sports stuff. First up is the Guardians, and it is Superheroes and Villains Week here at IE Sports Radio. So I put together this nice little picture for y'all with my choice for the Guardians. Now, I picked Spider-Man for a couple of reasons. One, it's the right colors. Two, at one time there was a baseball team in Cleveland called the Spiders. So I thought it was fitting. And three, I mean, look at him right there. It's Andres Jimenez playing second base, just snatching the ball out of the air anywhere near him. Like ever. It's unbelievable. Like I said on X the other day, my second baseman is better than your second baseman. He's amazing. All right, let's get rid of this. And we will get on with it. The Guardians had some roster changes this week. On Thursday, they optioned Joey Cantillo to AAA Columbus and recalled Connor Gillespie from AAA Columbus. On Monday, They recalled Joey Cantillo from AAA Columbus to be the 27th man for the doubleheader against the Kansas City Royals, and they optioned Connor Gillespie back to AAA Columbus. They also recalled Logan Allen from AAA Columbus. On Wednesday, they selected left-handed pitcher Eric Sabrowski from AAA Columbus and designated Anthony Ghost for assignment. Ghost did not accept the designation and has become a free agent. That was pretty much all that happened this week in roster changes. Not too crazy of a week there this past week. Check out the chat room real quick. We have Taryn Rodriguez. He says, have an awesome show. He is the host of Set Point, our volleyball show, which is on Mondays. He is also the host of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, which was on yesterday. And he is co-host of 3 and Out College Edition with Larry B. And that was on earlier this morning. We also have Ralph Calise. He says, good evening, Jenn B. Love your new time slot. Have a great show. Well, I don't think this would be my normal time slot. It's just for this week since I was sick last week. But thank you. I might consider a move as things move along because my husband works all day on Saturday, so I have nothing else to do. So maybe I'll switch to Saturdays. We'll see. Gotta run that by the boss man. And he also says, wow, that Spider-Man is awesome. Thank you, Ralph. I was playing around with my collage maker and made a couple of a few. I think 5. I think I have 5 for you. 5 superhero little things that I made. So now for the Guardians week in review. It was not the greatest week. It started out pretty well. Tuesday, they started the series against the New York Yankees. They took it into extra innings. At the end of the 9th, it was tied at 3. The Guardians ended up winning 9-5. In the 12th inning, the Guardians scored 6 runs in the top of the 12th to secure that win. So that was a good start to the series against the Yankees. Unfortunately, that was the only good in the series against the Yankees. They went on to lose Wednesday 8-1 and then Thursday 6-0. So wah, wah, wah. Friday, they took on the Texas Rangers and lost 5-3, but it turned around. Saturday, they won 13-5. The Naylor brothers each had home runs in the same game. Again, I believe it is the 3rd time they have done that. Sunday, they beat the Rangers 4-2. Clase recorded his 39th save, I believe it was. No, 38th save. His 38th save on 3 straight strikeouts. Monday, they started a series against the Kansas City Royals, which was a very important series, being that the Guardians were in first place and the Royals were in second place. Unfortunately, the series did not go well. Monday, they played a doubleheader. They lost game 1 4-3 and game 2 9-4. Then Tuesday, they lost again to the Royals 6-1, which brought the two teams into a first place tie and gave Kansas City the tiebreaker. So not good. The Guardians do hold tiebreakers over just about every other team that is in competition for playoff positioning. I believe the only other team that they don't have the tiebreaker with would be the Yankees. They have the tiebreaker over the Orioles. They have the tiebreaker over the Twins. So I'm not 100% sure about the tiebreakers over the Western Conference, but I'm 99% sure only one team in the Western Conference is making it to the playoffs anyway. So there's that. But Wednesday, they did have a comeback win against the Royals and won 7-5 and retook first place in the American League Central. Class A recorded his 39th save, and in doing so tied Cody Allen for the most saves in franchise history at 149. Friday, the Guardians played the Pittsburgh Pirates. Sorry, Ralph. So sorry. So sorry. Ralph says the Guardians are playing a cupcake now. No worries. Pirates are lost. So the Guardians beat the Pirates 10-8 yesterday. It was a hitting fest. And Class A recorded his 40th save on the season, making him the all-time franchise leader in saves at 150 saves. And he's only 26 years old. So he's got a long way to go. And he is, I believe, 4 saves away from his career high. I'm 99% sure he had 44 saves last year, and that was his career high then. So he's 4 saves away from tying that and 5 away from breaking that. So he is well on his way to a significant number of saves this season. I completely forgot to look at the schedule when I was putting my notes together. The Guardians are currently playing the Pirates in a series. I honestly have no idea who they play next, but you know what? We're going to be on again on Tuesday, so we could just talk about it on Tuesday. So let's get hold on. Ralph said something. I have Class A on my fantasy team. I hope he keeps it up. Oh my gosh, that's a great pick there, Ralph, because he is something else. I those 102-mile-per-hour fastballs and 100-mile-per-hour sliders. Yeesh. I wouldn't want to be up to bat against him. That is for sure. Now let's get into those minor league teams. They actually had a better week than the Guardians. The Columbus Clippers have gone 7-3 since we last spoke last Tuesday. They are currently in a series against Gwinnett, and they will begin a series on Monday against Durham. They are in second place, tied with Nashville, 11 games out of first place. And the Akron Rubber Ducks went 8-2 since last Tuesday. They are currently in a series against Bowie. They will finish that series up on a Sunday, and then they're off until Tuesday. So we will talk about what they are doing next on Tuesday. They are currently in first place, 3.5 games above Erie. So they have solidified that first place position a little bit more since we last spoke, because I believe they were only like half a game up, maybe 1.5 games up on the last show. So they are they're keeping up the winning ways. So we are going to switch on over to the Cavaliers real quick. Don't have a whole lot on the Cavaliers, but you know, I wanted to show my cute little picture that I made for Iron Man. So let's have it. Here we go. Iron Man in Rocket Mortgage Field House. That's right. So I picked Iron Man basically because of the colors. The colors just work. I don't have anything special about that. I mean, with the injuries last season, I definitely can't say there's a freaking Iron Man on the Cavs. So it was just the colors. That was the only reasoning there. But I have a fun story. I figure we need a fun story because the end of the show is going to be absolutely devastating. So, fun story. Last Tuesday, the night of my last show, after my show, I found this out. My husband works at a restaurant in Brecksville, and he's a line cook. And he was in the kitchen cooking, and he looked up and he saw this guy, and he was like, huh, that guy kind of looks like Larry Nance. And then, he went back to cooking, and then he was like, he looked again and he goes, that's gotta be Larry Nance. And he was like, screw this. I don't need to work. And he went over to him and he walked up to Larry Nance and said, excuse me, sir, are you Larry Nance? And Larry Nance confirmed that he was, and they shook hands. And my husband said, it's so nice to meet you. I grew up watching you block shots for the Cavs. So that is my fun story about Larry Nance. My husband met him and he promised me he will keep an eye out for him. And the next time he comes in, he's going to get me his autograph. So I might have that up here on the wall soon. Because from what his coworkers have told him, Larry Nance comes in there a lot. So maybe we'll get some other Cavs signature autographs and stuff. Because if Larry Nance goes there, maybe some of the other guys do too. Apparently, this restaurant is not that far from Richmond Coliseum where the Cavs played when I was a kid. So it makes sense that Larry Nance lives near there. So it may not be as common for current Cavs players to go in there now that they play downtown. But when I was a kid, the Cavs played in the Richfield Coliseum, which was probably 10, 15 minutes from the restaurant my husband works at. So that was just a cool little story. Now we have a signing for the Cavs and the Charge. The Cavs charged. The Cavs signed Luke Travers to a 2-way contract. And now the Charge made a trade just the other day. They traded the rights to guard Trey Maddox to the Long Island Nets for the rights to guard Trey McGowens. Apparently, they like the name Trey. They just wanted to change last names because they both play guard and they're both named Trey. They were spelled a little bit differently. One's Tray and one's Trey, but they're both Trey M. How weird is that? I don't know. The Cavs are being silly. But that is going to wrap things up for the baseball and the basketball. So we are going to take a short break. And when we come back, we will talk about the Columbus Crew and the Cleveland Browns. And I will have 2 more superheroes for you. So stay right here listening to the Show of the Land with Jenn B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And we will be right back after this.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, sports fans? You're listening to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your favorite West Coast Wisconsinite, Bernie Bango, and if you're a cheesehead, come listen to my show, Big Cheese Sports, where we road trip around America's Dairyland, previewing, reviewing, predicting, debating, and digging into all that is Wisconsin sports at the college and pro levels. Join me on IE Sports Radio, Sundays at 1 p.m. Central Standard. Bernie out.
You're back listening live to the Show of the Land with Jenn B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's get into some football and football. Now, the Columbus Crew, Batman. Of course, I picked Batman because of the colors, and they're just the crew are just special. They is special. If I could find the picture, there it is. So that is my Batman right there. Let's see if I can make that a little bit bigger. There we go. Batman kicking the ball towards the net. That you can't see because it's cut off in the picture, but that's what he's doing. He's kicking the ball towards the net. That's Batman as the crew. So pretty much the colors, and I mean the crew are just freaking superhuman, right? They are unbelievable this season. So let's go to what is happening with this crew team. This past week, the crew finished up Leagues Cup play on Wednesday. They were in the semifinals against Philadelphia Union. Diego Rossi scored goals at 12 minutes and at 43 minutes. Cucho Hernandez scored a goal at 53 minutes, and that was his 50th goal with the crew. Philadelphia Union scored a goal at 32 minutes, and the crew won 3-1 and advanced to the finals. With the win over Philadelphia, they secured a spot in the CONCACAF Cup for next season, and Diego Rossi was named man of the match. So this advanced them to the finals. They were in the finals on Sunday against LAFC. So it was Crew LAFC take 3 since December. It was the Crew's first ever Leagues Cup final. Cucho Hernandez scored goals at 45 minutes and at 90 plus 2 minutes of stoppage time. And Jason Russell Rowe scored a goal at 90 minutes plus 4 minutes of stoppage time. LAFC scored at 57 minutes. And the crew won 3-1 for their first ever Leagues Cup championship. With the win, the crew earns a bye through the first round of the CONCACAF Championship Series. And Cucho Hernandez was named man of the match. He was also named Leagues Cup 2024 Best Player. So pretty awesome. Congratulations to the Columbus Crew. They played their hearts out throughout the Leagues Cup series, and they definitely earned that trophy. Have a couple of roster updates. The crew loaned middle fielder Cole Morocco to Colorado Springs Swingbacks FC through the end of the 2024 USL Championship season. Mo Farsi has been called up to the Algerian national team for the Africa Nations Cup qualifiers on September 5th and 10th. Cucho Hernandez has also been called up to the Colombian national team. There's 2 other players that have been called up, but I haven't seen anything officially announced on which players and what countries. So once I have that information, I will, of course, share that. But for right now, those are the 2 so far. This past week, the Crew got back to some MLS play. Wednesday, they took on Philadelphia Union again. It was a rescheduled game. They were actually originally supposed to play on the 24th, but because the Crew were playing in the Leagues Cup finals on the 25th, and Philadelphia Union was playing in the third place match also on the 25th, the game was rescheduled for this past Wednesday. The Crew did not play their normal starting lineup. Most of the regular starters got a break, but were available as subs, and 5 of them did come in the second half. Yaoyaboa scored a goal in the 75th minute, and the Crew won 1-0. It was the Crew's first win in Philadelphia since 2015. Derek Jones was named player of the match, and Yaoyaboa was named nationwide player of the match, or nationwide man of the match. Their next MLS match is tonight at 7:30 Eastern against NYCFC, and it should be kicking off right about now. Let's see if we got a score. Oh, it just popped up on my screen. Look at that. It has not started yet. So they should be getting started here soon. So keep an eye on that, and I'll check and see if we have any score before the end of the show. But they are getting ready to start now, and they don't play again until the 7th. So we will talk about that match on Tuesday, as well as how tonight's match went. We are going to now switch over to the Cleveland Browns. Oh, where are my banners? So my superhero for the Browns that I selected is The Thing. This was a hard one because the goal was to go with superheroes or villains that match your team colors, and it was not easy to find one for the Browns. I had a couple of options, but I decided to go with Thing because he just looks like a football player. Makes me think of Myles Garrett. So there he is running down the field at Brown Stadium, chasing after that football. Let's see if we can. There we go. So there he is doing his thing in Brown Stadium. I know it's silly, but it is what it is. Going with the theme, y'all. Going with the theme. So the Browns had a couple of trades over the past week. They traded kicker Cade York to the Washington Commanders for a conditional 7th round pick in 2025. They also traded defensive tackle Chris Williams and a 2025 7th to the Chicago Bears for a 2025 6th round pick. So at least they got something out of those guys instead of having to cut them. So now, preseason wrap-up, the Browns lost the final preseason game to the Seattle Seahawks 37-33. So not terrible, not great, but not terrible. They did go 0-3 in preseason, but as I have said for years, I don't care what their record is in preseason, because the year that they went 4-0 in preseason, they went 0-16 or 1-15 in the regular season. So obviously, winning preseason means nothing towards the regular season. So a few starters did play in the first couple of series, but not many. And Deshaun Watson did not play. So I didn't even watch the game because it wasn't on until 10 o'clock p.m. my time, and I recorded it, but I never actually sat down and watched it. But I did end up sick last week, so that's partly why too. I was gonna try and watch it, but then I was just miserable and in bed, so I didn't get to watch it. But I did watch some of the highlights and some of the recaps and things of that nature. And they scored 33 points with mostly second, third, and fourth string players who are no longer on the team. So, I mean, it's not terrible. The defense did give up 37 though, so that's not great. But you know, have some injury updates. D'Anthony Bell, Jack Conklin, Jed Wills, Greg Newsome, and Dalvin Tomlinson all passed their physicals and have been cleared to return to practice. Most of them did. We are still pending an update on Jed Wills. He is the only one of that group that has not returned to practice. So hopefully he will be practicing when they return to practice. I believe it's Monday. They are on a little long weekend break right now, but they're supposed to report back on Monday. So we'll see if he practices next week as they prepare for the Cowboys on the 8th. Nick Chubb and Naheem Hines both remain on the PUP and NFI lists, respectively. So we will not see them on the field until at least week 5. So that stinks. I was really hoping we would have Nick back, but it was not to be. Now we have the initial 53-man roster and the practice squad's signings as of now. So first we're going to do the roster. On offense, they kept Deshaun Watson, Tyler Huntley, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Jameis Winston at quarterback. Obviously, that is going to change. They also kept at wide receiver David Bell, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, Jamari Thrash, and Cedric Tillman at wide receiver. Running back, they kept Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong. Also likely to change. I don't see them going into the season with only 2 running backs. Tight end, they kept Jordan Akins and David Njoku. For the offensive line, they kept Joe Bitonio, Jack Conklin, Javian Cohen, Nick Harris, James Hudson III, DeJuan Jones, Ethan Posick, Wyatt Teller, Jedrick Wills, and Zach Zinter. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's 10. They usually keep 9. So I would expect at some point one of those guys will probably be gone. I have a feeling they kept the extra because Jedrick Wills is not back on the field yet. But that is the offense. Now we will look at the defense and special teams. They kept on the defensive line Myles Garrett, Shelby Harris, Maurice Hurst II, Quentin Jefferson, Isaiah McGuire, Ugbo Okoronkwo, Zadarius Smith, Dalvin Tomlinson, and Alex Wright. Absolutely no surprises there. You will see that Mike Hall Jr. is not listed. He has unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever the case may be, been added to the commissioner's exempt list. Adam Karnak has jumped in the chat and he says preseason means everything. Oh God. Yes, you're right. You're right, Adam. You're so very right. Adam is the host of Chi-Town Weekly and co-host of The Neutral Zone, which is not back yet. It is currently on hiatus, since it's not hockey season. But Chi-Town Weekly is on Mondays, so be sure to check him out. And I will get to his other comment in a little while because we're not going there yet. And Taryn says, I'm the opposite. Preseason doesn't mean everything. I agree, Taryn. I agree. It does not mean anything because I learned that after the Browns went 4-0 and then lost the entire season. So, If you can go 4-0 in preseason and then not win a single game in the regular season, there's something wrong there. Anyway, at linebacker, they kept Devin Bush, Mahamud Diabate, Tony Fields II, Jordan Hicks, Jeremiah Wusu-Koromoa, and Nathaniel Watson. Again, no surprises there. Cornerback, they kept Martin Emerson Jr., Khalif oh my God, Halasi, Miles Harden, Cameron Mitchell, Greg Newsome II, and Denzel Ward. Once again, there are no surprises there. Safety, D'Anthony Bell, Grant Delpit, Ronnie Hickman, Rodney McLeod, and Juan Thornhill. No surprises there either. And special teams, they kept Dustin Hopkins, Corey Bojorquez, and my guy, Charlie Hewlett. So no surprises there either, because who else were they going to keep on special teams? I mean, they traded Cade York, so those three were the only options, really. So no big surprises on defense. I don't expect many, if any, changes. Possibly maybe some changes at linebacker if somebody they're more interested in becomes available, but as of now, I don't see many changes. I do see changes with the offense. So there have been a couple of changes since that initial 53-man roster was announced. They did release Tyler Huntley, and they re-signed running back Deontay Foreman. So the running back room is now 3 instead of 2, and the quarterback room is 3 instead of 4. So they didn't make one change. Like I said, they may not roll with 10 offensive linemen. We'll see. With them only going with 2 tight ends, I would expect if they did make any changes, maybe add a tight end and get rid of one of the linemen. However, Nick Harris did play at fullback a lot when he was on the team previously. So it is quite possible that they go with the 10 offensive linemen with the plan to use Nick Harris as kind of a tight end / fullback, extra blocker type deal, unless, of course, something happens to Ethan Posick, then he'll be playing center. So, but we'll see. Now for what's happening with the practice squad. We have the initial announcements were that they signed defensive tackle Jawan Briggs, cornerback Tony Brown II, wide receiver Jalen Darden, safety Christopher Edmonds, cornerback Justin Hardy Jr., tackle Jermaine Affetti, defensive tackle Sam Kamara, tackle Roy, I'm not even going to try and say that, Beteka? I just tried to say it even after I said I wasn't going to try and say it. So, there we are. Anyway, wide receiver James Prochet II, linebacker Winston Reed, long snapper Rex Sanahara, tackle Lorenzo Thompson, and wide receiver Michael Woods II. Woods actually had a really good preseason and training camp, so I was a little bit surprised that they cut him, but I am glad he is back on the practice squad. James Prochet was the kick returner last year, so I'll be interested to see if he at some point makes it back on to that 53-man roster. Rex Sanahara has since been released from the practice squad, so he is no longer there. But that was the initial, and then we had some changes and some additions and subtractions. So let's look at that. This is from Mary Kay on Thursday. Like I just mentioned, they signed Deontay Foreman and terminated Tyler Huntley's contract. But practice squad, they signed running back Gary Brightwell, cornerback Mike Ford Jr., who was with the team last year and played a lot of special teams. So that is definitely a good signing. Wide receiver Tulu Griffin, tight end Cameron Latu, and tight end Blake Whiteheart. And then, like I said previously, they released Rex Sanahara. So that is where things stand as of the last I saw. And sadly, I have to talk about some not so good news. But first, before we get to the not so good news, let's talk about the captains. The captains were named, and the offensive captains are Deshaun Watson and Joe Bitonio. Defensive captains, Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward. And the special teams captain is none other than my guy, Charlie Hewlett. And, like I have said a million times before, if you don't know, then you don't know. But if you know, you know. Charlie Hewlett is my guy. Who doesn't love their long snapper? Come on now. Now for the sad news. I'm going to try and get through this without crying, but I make no promises. And there's a significant chance that I will cry in the next segment. So there's that. Jim Donovan, the voice of the Browns for the last 25 years, announced that he is retiring as the play-by-play caller for the Cleveland Browns after learning that his cancer has returned again. I feel absolutely terrible for Jim Donovan. I believe this will be his third, maybe fourth battle with cancer. He just went into remission towards the end of the season last year. He took a leave of absence last year for treatment, and he rung the bell that he was in remission, and the Browns had him break the guitar or smash the guitar prior to one of the games towards the end of the season last year. And we were so happy and we were so excited that we were going to have him back. And then this. This was his announcement. To the fans. He says, well, the regular season is finally here. Can you imagine the atmosphere inside Browns Stadium when the Cowboys and Browns kick it off? It will be electric. It will be epic. Unfortunately, I will not be calling the game on the Browns radio network. I have called my last Browns game, and that's why I'm writing to you. As many of you know, I have been dealing with cancer for many years. I have gone through every treatment imaginable, but my cancer is a defiant opponent and has returned, and very aggressively. This will require me to devote everything I have in me to continue the fight, and my family and I are committed to do that. I have called Browns games for 25 years. Not a day has gone by when I haven't paused and been so proud to be the voice of the Browns. Cheryl, Megan, and I thank you for all the love, support, and prayers during my rough patches. It's like having a huge family around us, and that's what makes the Cleveland Browns so special. You do. Now let's get those Cowboys and make this 24-25 season a great one. I'll be watching and listening. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. It's been an honor. Jim Donovan. Whew. And the Haslams, of course, responded with their statement. And I will hopefully make it through this one without crying because I'm pretty close. We have been so honored to have Jim Donovan as the voice of the Browns since we became a part of the organization in 2012 and quickly understood why our fans have absolutely loved him for the last 25 years. He is Cleveland and represents, all that is good about Cleveland. Jim has poured everything into his craft, whether you've heard him on TV, radio, or have been lucky enough to engage him in person. He lights up every room and every conversation with his infectious energy. His class, professionalism, and limitless care for those around him make all of us better. words could never fully express. Our gratitude and admiration for Jim, how he has navigated his fight with cancer, his love for this city, and most importantly, his love and dedication to his family. I know we speak for all Browns fans in saying that he is in our prayers and we are here to support him in every way possible. And Jim Donovan will forever be a Cleveland Brown. Okay. And with that, we are going to have a moment of silence and a prayer for Jim's fight against cancer once again. And then we will go to a short break. So please join me in a moment of silence for Jim Donovan. Okay, I am going to take a short break. And when I come back, we will get into some even more tragic news. So stay right here with the show of the land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And I will be right back after this.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Rose Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. They're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Lentarius Lava.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
You are back live with the show of the land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. That was a rough one, guys. That was rough, but it's going to get even rougher. It has not been a good week for Cleveland and Columbus sports at all. So before we get to the bad stuff, a little bit of good stuff. So for Columbus Blue Jackets, I picked Captain America. I didn't put him on the ice. I didn't think of that until after I had already finished this one. So I picked Captain America for two reasons. One is the colors, obviously, and two is the Blue Jackets actually are a representation of war, and Captain America was a soldier before he became Captain America. So I thought it was fitting. So that would be why I selected Captain America. But some good news before we get to the absolute horrific news. The Blue Jackets did re-sign Cole Sillinger to a 2-year, $4.5 million contract through the 2025-2026 season. The Blue Jackets a stadium series game that they will be playing against the Detroit Red Wings is scheduled for March 1st, and it will begin at 6 p.m. Eastern Time and is expected to be mostly under the lights as sunset will be at 6:24 p.m. Eastern. All right. I can do this. I can do this. Oh, all right. So here we are. The absolute tragic news that we all woke up to yesterday morning. Blue Jackets forward Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew were killed Thursday night when an alleged drunk driver struck them while they were riding bikes together in New Jersey. Johnny was 31 and leaves behind a wife and 2 young children. And she today posted a farewell message on Instagram. I am not going to show that here, but I did tweet it. If you would like to see it, you can see it on X or on Instagram. But I won't make it through reading that. I didn't make it through reading it when I actually read it in my head. So, not doing that, but it is there. She is one strong woman. That's all I can say. Unbelievably strong. And it's a testament to what an amazing man Johnny Gaudreau was. Matthew was 29 and leaves behind a wife who is pregnant with their first child. The brothers were set to be groomsmen in their sister's wedding yesterday. The driver has been arrested and is currently in jail awaiting his detention hearing, which is scheduled for September 5th. He has been charged with 2 counts of vehicular homicide with a maximum sentence of 10 years. I do not know if that is 10 years total or 10 years each, but I actually watched his arraignment yesterday. It was something. So let's get to the comments. Adam says hearts, prayers, and deepest sympathies to the Gaudreau family and all of the Columbus Blue Jackets. And Taryn says, I'm not ready for the final segment. I don't think my heart can take it. Mad props to you, Jen, for going live today. Oh, thank you, Taryn. This is hard. I cried on and off all day yesterday. I'm not gonna lie. It's absolutely tragic. I can't even imagine what this family is going through. This is the second active player the Blue Jackets have lost in the last 3 years. Both accidents, and it's absolutely horrific. The outpouring of support from all over the country and world really has been unbelievable. Multiple baseball teams had moments of silence yesterday before beginning their games. The Ohio State Buckeyes had a moment of silence prior to their game today. Um, every team in Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati, save the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals, have issued their condolences and support. Every NHL team, every hockey league that I can think of has reached out. Every team, the Calgary Flames, where Gaudreau played prior to the Blue Jackets, also are devastated. Both the Saddle Dome in Calgary and Nationwide Arena are covered in flowers, candles, mementos from fans who came out in support and held vigils last night for the Gaudreau brothers. I'm going to do 2 moments of silence. And when I come back, I will go on my rant. But these men deserve their moment of silence before any attention is given to the monster that did this to them. So, as Adam says here, I'll put it up here in a second. Hold on. Sticks out for Johnny and Matthew. So please join me in 2 moments of silence to honor the memory of Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Gaudreau, both taken far too soon. And please say a special prayer for those 2 very young and 1 unborn child who will never meet his father and their mothers. Get through this. 2 moments of silence, and we'll be back. Okay. Thank you for joining me in the 2 moments of silence. Terrence got his sticks out for Johnny and Matthew. This was an absolutely tragic and senseless incident. The man who hit Johnny and Matthew was driving drunk, allegedly. And from what I read, he was drinking while driving. Not only was he drunk behind the wheel, he was drinking while driving. He impatiently went around to the right of the vehicle in front of him that had moved over to allow the necessary space that you are by law supposed to allow when passing cyclists on the road. He was impatient and thought they were trying to block him and chose to squeeze between them and the side of the road, taking out Johnny and Matthew in the process. There are now 2 children who lost their father, another child who will never meet his father, 2 wives who lost their husbands, 2 parents who lost 2 sons, siblings who lost 2 brothers, a sister who was supposed to be married yesterday, supposed to be the happiest day of her life, is now saying goodbye to her 2 brothers. Absolutely senseless, completely avoidable. I have said it before, I will say it again. Do not drink and drive. If you want to drink, sit your ass on the couch and don't go out. If you want to be out drinking, have another means to get yourself home. Do not put those keys in the ignition and get behind that wheel. This was completely avoidable. One smart decision was all it took for Johnny and Matthew to still be here. Do not drink and drive. I don't care what the reason. There is no reason. With all of the options available to us nowadays at the tip of your fingers, just don't do it. Don't do it. Drink where you're going to stay or have other arrangements. Have a designated driver, Lyft, Uber. As Mike Pat says on the show that's coming up right after me, let's whine about DMV sports. Amazon ship your home. I don't care. Do not drink and drive. And on that note, we are going to end tonight's show. My prayers and condolences and thoughts go out to the Gaudreau family, Columbus Blue Jackets fans, Calgary Flame fans, and anyone to whom these boys meant anything. It's absolutely tragic, and I can't even begin to imagine the loss that these families are feeling. And it's gonna, I mean, this Blue Jacket season is for the Gaudreaus. No doubt about it. It is 100% for the Gaudreaus. And God bless the Gaudreau families, and especially Johnny's 2 young children and Matthew's unborn child and their wives as they try and get through this and continue on raising their children without their fathers. It's awful, absolutely awful. I can't even. But with that, I'm going to cue that music there. Oh, before I get to that, there is a GoFundMe posted all over X for Matthew Gaudreau's wife and child. There are also numerous charities that Johnny Gaudreau supported. So if you want to do something to help out or make a donation, be sure to check those out. Johnny Gaudreau was a big supporter of Patrick Liney's foundation and mental health. He's also a big supporter of kids and giving them every chance in the world. Taryn says, great show. I have to head to work. You handled this part of the show like a champ. Thank you, Taryn. Have a great night at work. But be sure to check those out if you are so inclined. And there are sure to be numerous memorial ceremonies going on. So be sure to watch out for announcements on those. And this season is for Johnny. And with that, we will cue that music. Thank you for joining me on the Show of the Land with Jenn B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. My next show will be Tuesday, September 3rd at my normal time, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. So be sure to check me out there. Hopefully we will not be talking about such horrible, tragic things next week. Hopefully we can get through the show without any tears. And next up will be Let's Whine About DMV Sports with Mike Pat. He will be coming on here in about 45 minutes. So be sure to check out his show. Once again, thank you for supporting the Show of the Land and for supporting IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Be sure to follow us on X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at IE Sports Radio. You can follow the show at the Show of the Land IE, and you can follow me personally at Believe Land Girl. I am on X, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok, but for TikTok it is Jen.BelieveLand, and that is Jen with 2 N's. R.I.P. Johnny and Matthew, and prayers up for Jim Donovan. And with that, I say good night, Ohio.